Hey guys, welcome back to the 33rd episode of Let's Play Space Engineers as a German engineer. If you're new here, I'm Daniel. I've been born and raised in Germany, and I've been living and working as a software engineer for the last 10 or so years in the San Francisco Bay Area, Silicon Valley. In the last episode, we finally moved the MMR to the new Cobalt location. This time, I want to kind of future-proof us a little bit more. So we've built this amazing 3D printer over here, which I don't even think you can properly see from here. But one of the challenges that we have is if we're going to print something in a 3D printer, we also kind of need to figure out what all the material is that we need, right? So all the components that need to go into the print, we need to catalog them all and kind of create them and put them into production before we start the print. Otherwise, the printer is just going to run out of components. Well, I thought, what if we could make this easier for us? What if we could just have a stockpile of components in our base, and as we run out of those components, we would have a script that automatically detects, oh, we are low on components, we should build some more of this or of that. And so we can just set how much of each component we want to stockpile, and as we drain those components, our script would automatically kick in and kind of start building more of those components again. To support that, we would also need a dashboard that kind of shows us what the amounts of components we have in our base, what the target amounts are, and if we're currently producing or not. So I think I want to expand our inventory dashboard to do exactly this. Right now, the inventory dashboard only can display ores, as you can see above here. It'll show raw materials and ingots, right? The ores and ingots. But I think I want to expand this script in a way to also allow us to display construction components. And then I want to be able to basically specify what our target levels are for these construction components. And then the script should go and put into queue up components that we are not meeting our target levels at, right? And then basically the base will just automatically always construct components for us, and we don't have to worry about this anymore. So let's I put this component dashboard and production item on the engineering plan here. Let's think a little bit more about what exactly we will need. So I think the first thing that we will need is the ability to display components on a dashboard. And I do think I want this to be a separate dashboard from the ore and ingot dashboard. As in, I think it should live with the same script because we're already iterating over all the cargo containers and things like that in that script, so there's no need to have a separate script that does that. But I do think, I want to be able to say, hey, this here is a ore and ingot dashboard, and this over here is a component dashboard, because those two things, it doesn't really make sense to intermingle them on the same dashboard, I think. The other thing that we will need is the ability to set thresholds for specific components that we want to be meeting, right? So, for example, I think the best way to do this is to have a configuration in the programmable block that then just says, hey, of this component type, I want to always have 1,000, right? Let's say 1,000 steel plate, or 10,000 or 5,000 steel plate. And of interior components, I always want to have 500, and of computer components, I always want to have 200, or whatever the exact levels are. But basically, you can go and set those levels in the configuration, and those levels A get displayed on the dashboard, and B will then be used by the actual production queuing mechanism to then go and produce those components in the assemblers in the base, right? And then as part of this also, and then lastly, we need the mechanism to actually construct the components. Okay, so construct components to meet target quantities. Assembler selection. We need an assembler selection. So you need to be able to select which assembler to use. But the question that we need to answer here is, I think there's two ways to go about constructing these components. The first option is whenever the assembler is not in use, it just goes and schedules a certain number of components in the assembler to be constructed. And then when the assembler is done constructing those, it'll go again and figure out, hey, what are the target quantities, what do I need to build here, and then schedule some more. And that scheduling could happen in relatively small increments. The other option that we have is to just go ahead and see like what are the target quantities, what are the amounts that we have in inventory, and then just queue all of the components that are missing. There are upsides and downsides to both. I think just queuing all the components that are missing is going to be more efficient in terms of the production time. If you schedule smaller amounts, then the assemblers will like produce smaller amounts, and will then, once they are done producing, you need to like start them over again, which will take time until the script runs, until this stuff is queued, until the assemblers kick in again, and so forth. So kind of queuing a large amount of components is more efficient. But if you don't actually break up those amounts into smaller quantities, then you end up in a situation where you are constructing, let's say, a 5,000 steel plate all at once, and you need to finish those 5,000 steel plate before you are building the 1,000 interior components that you might also need, right? So there's no, if you do it incrementally with smaller amounts, you will have some kind of automatic, like let's call it load balancing, where you do some kind of round robin or something, or where you can have some kind of logic in terms of which components you want to produce at which time, which you could do if you with queuing as well, but it's going to be more complicated, more involved. The other thing is, if you queue all your resources, then you ahead of time and are willing to queue more while the assembler is still actively being used, then you will have to reconcile the components that are currently in the assembler queue, right? So let's say you are you're missing 1,000 steel plate, and now you're putting 1,000 steel plate into production. Now, next time your script runs and checks like, hey, how much do we have in inventory, and how much more do I need to build? Since these steel plate are still only sitting in the queue and haven't produced yet, it will say, oh, look, I'm missing 1,000 steel plate, so I should queue 1,000 steel plate. So you end up queuing 1,000 steel plate over and over and over, unless you actually look at the queue in the assembler and say like, hey, 1,000 steel plate is queued right now, so I should probably not build another 1,000 steel plate. So when you, in terms of determining how much material you have, you need to not only look at the components that you have in the inventory, but you also need to look at the components that are currently queued in assemblers. And then you need to look at all assemblers, not only the main assembler, because of cooperative mode, right? That assembler might delegate out to other assemblers. So it becomes very quickly much more complicated, I feel like. I guess we've kind of decided at this point what the best way is, so I'm going to call it incremental queuing. One other thing that I want to do, I definitely want to, I do think I want to have some kind of logic that shows what we're currently producing, or at the very least what we're going to be producing next on the dashboard, so that we have an idea of like, hey, for all the things where we're not meeting the target quantities, for all the components where we're not meeting the target quantities, what is going to be increasing next? And we can probably indicate this with a color or something. We'll figure that out. Okay, I just cleaned up some of these items here and renamed them a little bit. I think this might be it. I can't think of anything else that we need to be considering right now. Okay, then let's head over into Visual Studio Code. Okay, we're in Visual Studio Code. If you are unfamiliar with Visual Studio Code, I made a great introduction video into how to set it up and how to get you up and running. So go and check that out. I put a little like link icon up here or wherever it is in the corner of the screen that you can click on to get to that video very easily. Also, what we are going to be working off of is my inventory dashboard script. So you can find that either on GitHub or in the Steam Workshop, and I'll put a link to that in a pinned comment in the description or in the description below. So check that out if you want to get this code. So let's quickly go over this here. I think there is, this is my config code here, write text, get OR key. So the first thing that we would need to do is actually write the code to draw a component dashboard. And right now, the way that this works here is, this here is the function that actually renders the dashboards, I believe. And this is in the main function. So we might have to break that out into a separate function. Loops over all the entities, creates the inventory dictionary. Oh, I see. Okay, the write text function does this. So yeah, we definitely need to change this a little bit here, I think. So the way that I want to do this is each surface that gets configured in the inventory dashboard can either be an OR surface or can be a component surface. If it's a OR and ingot surface, then we'll render the OR and ingot dashboard to it. If it's a component surface, then we'll render the component dashboard to it. So I think text surfaces needs to be changed, right? This here needs to be, these are not text surfaces. I mean, they are, but it's actually OR dashboard surfaces, right? And then the text surface identifiers. So I will rename this here as well. And this is not going to be text surface identifiers, but it's going to be OR dashboard surface identifiers. So this is going to be for the OR dashboards. And now we need to add an equivalent list for the component dashboard. Also, when it comes to OR dashboard surfaces, we also need component dashboard surfaces. Yes, here where we pass the config, right? We'll need to just do a string section.get. So this is for the configuration already. It's dashboard type, and it defaults to OR switch dashboard type, and then case OR. And then we'll do another case here that is components. And then we're gonna do component identifiers add new key. Actually, I can do this here. Key value pair, block name and index, and int. There we go. Okay. Let's see. This here is probably, yeah, this here is component dashboard surfaces. Component dashboard surface identifiers count. So this loop here, I basically need to do the same thing for both the OR dashboards and for the component dashboard surfaces. Just grabbing the identifier and then turning it into a surface. So I'm gonna make a new function method for this. Get surface from identifier. There's a key value pair. String int. Excuse me. Get surface from identifier. And this returns a my text surface. I'm gonna copy all of this here, paste it in here, and then do identifier.key, identifier.value, and then return nulls here if something goes wrong, and then return the text surface. Okay, that looks good. So now I should be able to just say surface equals this.get surface from identifier if surface is null, return. And then otherwise, all of this can go. Okay. So now I can do the same loop here for the component dashboards. Okay. I think this makes sense. So now we have the component dashboards and we have the OR dashboards on dashboard surfaces. So yeah, here's where we start the actual writing of the dashboard. And I think I want to break this out into another method as well. Write OR dashboard. So let's copy this and put it in here. It seems like we really only need to pass in the use volume and total volume. Okay, so let's just pass this in for now. Volume, total volume, and use volume. There we go. Right now, write text is doing the iterating over the dashboards. And I do think I want to change that. So I think I want to provide the surface in here. My text surface. And then I want to do surface.writeText instead. And then this one shouldn't be used anymore. And in here, this loop that I'm doing in here, I need to move down there, essentially. Put it in here. Let's also rename this here, I think. Text surface. So I think at this point, this should all still work. Let's give this a shot. We're going to export it. Let's control the programmable block from here. Inventory dashboard. All scripts. If you ever are in the code editor, in the programmable block code editor, and these buttons don't work, click with the left mouse button, then the right, hold the left mouse button, and then press down the right mouse button, and then release the left mouse button. That'll do it. Inventory dashboard here. Copy to editor. Quickly see if our new code is here. Yeah, there's OR dashboards and component dashboards. Then check code. Compilation successful. Okay. So the OR dashboard seems to still be working. Although, let's make sure and actually delete the contents. Yeah, okay. Let's get back into Visual Studio Code. So the main change that we made now, right, is that we are now creating two lists. We're creating a list of OR dashboards and a list of component dashboards. And we are writing our OR dashboard to the OR dashboards. And now if we had a second list here, if we go over the component dashboards, we could also, and I'm going to do this just for quick testing, we're going to also write the OR dashboards to those dashboards. So back in the game, I'm going to use one of these dashboards here, just for testing purposes. So I'm going to call this component dashboard. And then I'm going to look for the programmable block. I'm a little bit surprised that I don't have any custom data here. Okay, maybe I never used this. Okay. Gonna set a dashboard. And the block is going to be inventory dashboard. And I'm not sure if I need to recompile this, but I think I might need to. Let's see if this here still works now. Yeah, okay. So now, I should be able to... This is the wrong script. Set up a second dashboard. There's the component dashboard. And I think I may need to recompile it. Yeah, so this is now the... Actually, let's remove the offline texture. Yeah. So this now shows the OR dashboard as well. And I'm gonna change now the dashboard type. Right? We're gonna say type equals components. And let's delete it quickly. So this should still render the OR dashboard. But it doesn't appear like it. Okay, I need to go back into Visual Studio Code quickly. Right, I set it up that if it is a component dashboard, it should also write the OR dashboard. Right, it's obviously not what we ultimately want, but just for testing purposes. So I think I need to look at the switch code block. Components. I believe this should work. Let's see here. Echo dashboard string dot format. Okay, let's see if we let's actually add another here and then also do a default case where we just output. Let's give this another shot here. Inventory dashboard. Edit. Browse scripts. Copy to editor. Check code. Yeah. Okay. Nothing is echoed. Okay, let me try to debug this. Oh, I know why. I did not export it again. Okay, and now, so let's reload. Inventory dashboard. Copy to editor. Okay, so it found the two OR dashboards. But this is the wrong argument. How do I... Oh. Okay. Copy. Oh. This needs to be 0 here, not 1. Okay. Okay, here we go. This is not working. Okay. So now it outputs our debug messages here. Let's go to custom data. Let's now add type is OR. And then type is components. And then recompile. Yes, now it detected the component dashboard. And if we delete this, it should be rendering this again, right? Yes, perfect. What it's doing now is we have now here, write OR dashboard. So we need to write a second dashboard function that builds a component dashboard instead of an OR dashboard. But also, we actually need to collect the information on the ORs. So in here, like loop over each item in the inventory, we now need to check if the item that we're encountering is something that we want to keep track of. And what we will do here, so right now we're checking when we're going over the list, and then we're checking again for sorting purposes in the OR dashboard, but also here when we're actually writing each line. So the subtype filter, we're going to be renaming to or subtype filter. And then we're going to create another list here that is going to be the component subtype filter. And I'm just going to put steel plate in here for now. And I don't know, interior components or something like that. And then, so there's ones where we create the item list and then one where we filter for displaying. And where we create it, we need to check for both. So we're going to skip if it's not in the or subtype filter and it's not in the component subtype filter, right? Only then we skip. And then we're going to have another function here that is write component dashboard. That's going to basically do all the same things for the most part. Component subtype filter here. Allowed to auto save to auto sort as well. And then we're checking the component subtype filter here. We'll need to fix these things here. Probably. Just down here we'll need to fix. Let's just see how this fares though for now. Replace this with component dashboard. Okay, and now export. And import it here again. Yeah. Okay. So this looks better, definitely. This looks this contains the two components that we have listed. I think one thing that we need to figure out now is what the actual names for these components are. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna print these out. Here, as we kind of iterate over all of them. But here I'm just gonna be okay. And then here we go. Yeah, so steel plate, large tube, interior plate, construction. Okay, so this here, the type for construction components is myObjectBuilder_component, and then we have construction component, computer components, large tube, detector, display, and so forth. Interior plate. So these up here weren't even that wrong, except for interior components. It's not components, just interior. So I think when we do the get amounts, we just need a private string get component key. There's a type prefix, and then it's component, colon. And then I'm gonna do the same thing here, but it's gonna be component amount. We're getting the component key. Yeah. And then write component dashboard. Let's keep that like this for now. Get component amount. I'm not sure why I'm looping over these here, frankly. Why I'm initializing them with 0 and then adding to them. Let's do it like this for now. Okay.
No energy.
Here we go. Awesome. That is looking good already. Do we really have no interior components, or is this just... Oh, it's called interior update, not interior component. Okay. Let me go and add a bunch more components to the component list, and then we'll see what this looks like. Okay. So I have added a bunch of these components into this list. I think this So at least all the ones that I have in my inventory right now. It's probably some are missing. If you know what I'm missing, please let me know in the comments below. I will do some more research also off screen on trying to figure out what I might be missing here. But yeah, let's export this again and then reload this in here. And here we go. Something funky going on here with interior plate and construction components. I'll have to check on that. My guess is that they are too big. They are overflowing. The text is overflowing how much space is allocated for it. The same is done here for bulletproof glass and radio communication. Which is fine. I'll have to figure out how I want to deal with that. But this looks good. So I think the only other thing I'll want to display... so I think to deal with the long names, I will have to have some kind of translation mechanism, right? That replaces the technical name of the thing that is being used like in the game with something that is shorter that fits here. So for example, bulletproof glass could be replaced by just glass. Radio communication could be replaced by just radio com or something like that. Or bulletproof glass could be BFG. BPG. Or bullet glass or something like that, right? So I can definitely do that. And then we're rendering the number of items that we have. I think we should, for the dashboards, we should have auto sort on by default for the component dashboards. I think that makes more sense than this kind of fixed order that we have right now. And then what else do we need to do? Let's look at the to-do list here quickly. Render component dashboard. So I think we can check this off when we're doing this. Configuration for target quantities we don't have yet, and display target quantities we don't have yet, so we need to do this. Construct components we don't have that yet. Assembler select. Okay. We don't have any of the other items yet here. Let me do the translation part so that this renders correctly at the very least. And then we're going to configuration for target quantities and displaying the target quantities. Yeah, let's do that next. Okay, the dashboard renders correctly now. I had to add some abbreviations for a bunch of the words, like construction components, so I can only... even construction doesn't fully fit, but that's fine. They also added spaces in some of the ones that have more space available, like large tube, small tube, metal grid, stuff like that. One thing I want to do here, I want to enable auto sort. No, it is auto sort. Oh, but it's not a per dashboard setting. I see. I see. Let me just do this for the component dashboards, like always. We're not... It just seems for the components dashboard, it makes more sense for now. Okay, here we go. Nicely sorted list with construction components, steel, computer components, interior components, large tube, small tube, girder, motors, metal grids, yada, yada, yada. Okay, perfect. Next is configurable targets. This should be pretty straightforward. So the way I want to do this, I think there's going to be another section here that is not going to be a dashboard, but it's going to be targets. And then you just fill in something like construction. Let's say we want 1,000. And then steel plate, we want 5,000. Motors, we want 500. Something like that. And now when we go into Visual Studio, we will create a dictionary here. String to int, component targets, like so. And then where we pass the config, actually let's do switch section, not section name. And then case dashboard. We're gonna do whatever we've been doing. And then case targets. For each component in component subtype filter, section not get component, and the default is 0. Oh, like this, and then let's do dot int dot parse. Okay, let's do that. Yeah. If target is larger than 0, then we'll add it to the targets dictionary. Yeah, there we go. So now we just need to also render the number. And we're just gonna do target. Int target is component targets dot get value or default material 0. And if target is larger than 0, then we're gonna do format amount target. Otherwise, it's gonna be an empty string. Okay, fix the formatting a little bit. And let's try that again. There we go. The targets are correctly rendered. Let's quickly run over here. Configuration for target quantities, that is done. Display target quantities in dashboard, that is done. So, assembler selection, incremental queuing, and display production priority on dashboard. Assembler selection is should be relatively straightforward in the configuration, and then incremental queuing we need to do next. So let's start with the assembler selection first. So this should be pretty straightforward. Where we just need to get a config value from the configuration. Let's start like this first. Assembler name equals config.get assembler. Okay, what is the type of an assembler? Let's do a little bit of searching. Quick script to automatically build basic components. That sounds awesome. IMI production block. So, assembler, and then I guess this is null by default. And then if assembler name is not an empty string, we do assembler grid terminal system get block with name assembler name as IMI production block. So now I have the assembler, so I should be able to use this now to produce stuff. I want to see what the production block API surface looks like. Probably just do it in here as well, right? Click here. Yeah. Is queue empty? Okay. I think that's what we wanted to know. We said we're only going to queue items when the queue is empty. In that case, we're going to go over subtype filter here. I'm just going to say if inventory dictionary get component key component get value or default is smaller than component targets get value or default component or 0. Right, so if the amount of components that we have is less than the component targets, then we need to build. The difference, if the difference is negative, then we have more components than our target. So we can just say continue. But otherwise, we need to queue add queue item. Is that? So after blueprint definition / component to blueprint. What is component to blueprint? Oh, it's called component. I see. For these few here. Okay. So we do get component blueprint name. We'll pass in the component. And then we're gonna put the difference here. And we actually want to limit like how many items we do built in every. So let's say we'll say 100. So we're gonna do math.min. This is my fixed point. Let's save this. Yeah, I think we can do that. And so 100 is right now just the number that I have hard coded. This might be configurable, or maybe 100 is fine. We do need to implement get component blueprint name. So private get component blueprint name. So it uses the my object builder and then the blueprint definition and then a / and then the component name, except for a few cases. It's all the ones that are called component in the UI, right? So it's computer components, girder component, and construction component. Case girder, case construction, case computer. Component equals component plus, and then we're calling here my definition ID dot parse. Okay. So I think this should work. Although this will add all the items to the queue, which is not what we want, but instead I should do it the other way around. If this is larger than 0, we'll add the item and break. I do want to echo something here when we actually add something to the queue. Okay. Okay, so far it is not actually adding anything to the construction queue. Let's see. Okay. Oh, not block group. Oh. Derpy derp derp. There you go. Okay.
No energy.
Okay, adding motors is not working. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Steel plates worked. Pretty sure. Yeah, I have 5,000 steel plate now. Perfect. Motor, however, is not working.
1 hour later.
It appears like motor might require to be named motor components as well. And that's why it was failing. Oh yeah, that looks good. You can see the number of motors going up. Should continue producing until we reach 500. Let's quickly check in terms of... Yeah, there we go. So it has added the motors, and when it's done, it adds 100 more. The only thing that's still missing here now is that we want to kind of like add an indicator which component is being produced. And so let me clean this up here first a little bit. There we go. Nice. Perfect. Yeah. It is still the... I think I need to rework the production queuing a little bit. I think I need to wait until all assemblers are done working before queuing more. Yeah. Let me quickly do this. That should be straightforward still. accurate. So it's not perfect, the solution that I used. Ultimately, I think the solution that the other script uses, where it actually counts the items in the production queue and just adds them to the current count to determine the target, might be the better approach ultimately, because that would also avoid other problems that we're having here. But right now, the solution that I did was just to look at all the assemblers and check if they have anything in their queue, and if any of the assemblers has anything in their queue, we will not schedule more components to be produced. I think we can just now go and set up a couple of production targets. Just set some up here. Do we have everything? We'll see. Let's do OK, and then let's recompile. There we go. Okay. Why is it producing interior component? Oh, because we have a target of 3000. That makes sense. Let's see if it produces all of these things. See you in a couple of minutes when it's done. Okay, it got stuck on medkits. They're probably not called medical kit. Let's see if there's an error. There's probably an error. Yeah, can't use the blueprint. Can't use the blueprint detector. Bulletproof glass. Okay, let me find out what the correct names for these are, and try to fix that. Okay. I think I fixed them all. Radio communication components are being built. Then it should go back to the detectors next, I think. Medical I'm using the wrong name for the medical components for the target. Let me fix that as well. I had to change. I was using medkit. That is not correct. It's medical components. So it's just medical like this. Perfect. Nice. Let's go over to the dashboard and see where we are. Construct components to meet target quantities. Yes, we are doing this. We have the assembler selection. We have incremental queuing. Display production variety on dashboard. There's one little thing that I still want to fix before I call this a day. But I might just do that off screen and then publish that with the source code. That is, I want display error indicator if something goes wrong. So basically, instead of showing the little star icon, I want to show a little exclamation point if something isn't working correctly as expected. I think that makes a lot of sense, so that if something goes wrong, you can see it on the dashboard and you can go and fix it instead of just having the little star icon being stuck there forever. And then I think sometime in the future we probably want to overhaul component construction queuing. So I might look into this into the future here, but for now I'll check off the error. I'll do this off screen, and if you want to see this, if you want to get access to this code, I will publish the updated version of the inventory dashboard to the workshop, and I will also update the code on GitHub. You will find links to both in the description below, as well as in a pinned comment in the comment section right underneath this video. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. It greatly helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I upload Space Engineers videos twice a week, and there's lots of other stuff to explore on the channel. And if you know somebody who might enjoy this video as well, please share it with them. It's the best way to help the channel grow. Other than that, thanks a lot for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye.